Alright, so in today's tutorial, we'll be looking at Introduction to LaTeX, and in this we would like to know a brief history of LaTeX. So LaTeX is basically pronounced as LaTeX or LaTeX, and it's a micro package used as a language-based approach for typesetting documents. It was originally written by Leslie Lamport and is based on the text typesetting engine by Donald Knapp, right? LaTeX can be used for preparing latest applications, articles, reports, publications, theses, or books. One of the main advantages of LaTeX is that manual formatting of a document, as usually required in many word processors, can be automated in LaTeX. Further, it has the provision for automatically generating various lists of content, index, and glossary, right? So how do we prepare LaTeX input file? So the main structure of a LaTeX input file can be divided into two parts. We have the preamble and we have the body, and this is basically how it looks like. So let's move into our text studio. If you open your text studio for the first time, this is what you're going to see. So you're going to open a new file using this button. So let's save this. Control S. I'm going to save it in a folder that I've created on my desktop. So I'm going to name this tutorial 1 saved, right? So once I have this, I can start with the structure of the document. So I have document class. Basically we have 5 types of classes. We have the letter, article, book. We also have report, and we have Beamer. Beamer is basically used for presentation, right? PowerPoint presentation, and we're looking at it in our subsequent sessions, right? So but now we will want to focus on the article as our main document class, right? So let's use article in this. Once you know how to use the article class, you can actually extend it when you are dealing with a book or a letter or a report. The same approach that you have to change 1 or 2 settings to make things work right. So let's move on to the begin document. So I'm going to type this. That's it, right? So basically this space, right, would define the preamble where we have our packages, and this space defines the main document, that's the main body where we want to write most of our document, right? So that is with the LaTeX input file. So let's look at some of the options available for us. So with the font size, the default is 10, right? I'm going to make use of 12. The paper size, we have letter paper A4, A5, and what have you. I'm going to make use of the A4. The page orientation, we have the portrait and landscape. I'm going to use the default. And the columns of the text, we have 1 column, 2 column. I'm going to make use of the default. Type of printing, you can have 1 side, 2 side, but 1 side is normally used for article and report, so I'm going to maintain that. So you can check the rest. Okay, let's move on to the text studio. So the options, I'm going to make use of A4 paper, right? And I also need the font should be 12, right? So let me define here. Use the percentage sign as a comment. So this is my preamble, right? Then this define my body, right? Body, right? So let me close the preamble. For the preamble, let me close the body. So the percentage sign is to comment, right? Anything that you type outside this document, if you type anything outside the document, it will not be included in the document, right? So let's try this. Let's start with, let's say hello, or let's say this. This is my first tutorial, right, in LaTeX, right? So LaTeX is okay. Let's try this. Let's run this. So once it's changed to a red indicator that it's still running, it was green, now it has changed to red to show that it's still compiling, right? Alright, so here we are. Right, this is my first tutorial in LaTeX, right? So that's it. Let's try and type something outside the document environment. So let's say this is me. Let's run this. Build and view, right? So this is to build and view or to compile our document. So right, so we don't see anything, we don't see this showing, we don't see this showing in our document. So anything that you type outside the document environment will not be included in your document that you are typing, right? So that's it. Let's continue. So you can try these options. Okay, now let's look at the latex syntax. Latex syntax consists of the commands and environment, which are kind of instructions enclosed with the text of a document for performing specific jobs. Now you have to note that the instructions are defined different packages. So even though we're looking at the commands environment, we also be looking at some how the packages works. Okay, and we'll be looking at more advanced packages as we move on. So let's look at the commands. A letter command is an independent instruction used either for producing something new or to change the form of an existing item. And a command is usually start with a backslash followed by one or more characters without any gap in between them. For example, alpha produces this symbol, or printing this produces that. So how do we do this? Let's jump into LaTeX Text Studio. So let me close this line using this double sign, right? The double backslash is to close a line, right? So let's move on to the next line. So I want to type command. I have to use the backslash, just one, with the name of the symbol alpha, right? So enter. This operates in a math mode, so you see the dollar sign is to show that this can only operate in a math mode. Once I take this off and I take this off, you see the render indicator. This is to show that you have to add the dollar sign because it can only operate in a math mode, right? So let's see this, let's run this, let's go put and compile. So let's see that, right? So you see alpha showing, right? You can also see the second text. Let's use name. So this is basically going to change our font into an italic, right? So let's run this. Let me close this line. Let's run this. Let's build and compile. So here we are. So you see this is now in the form of what? Italic, right? Okay. So let's move on. So that's basically with commands. We'll be looking at more commands as we move on. So let's look at some examples of keyboard characters to be produced through commands. So these are some of the keyboard characters, but you can only execute them with some commands, right? So let's try with the dollar sign. You can actually try any of them. I'm just going to use the dollar sign and the ampersand with the percentage sign, right? I just selected 3. You can choose any. So you have to note that this is a pair of the pair of the dollar sign creates a math mode within the text mode when you have a pair of them, but just one gives you the symbol. So let's look at it. Let me close this line. So command dollar sign, right? And let's execute this. So here we are, right? see that. So let's look at let me close this line. Let's look at the percentage, and let me add the other sign. Right. Okay, let's see this without the command and see there what is going to how the output is going to look like. So I have intentionally left out to see what's going to show. So yeah, there's a problem, right? So let's add a command and see. Okay, so now we have it, right? So now we don't have any problem. That's a percentage and that. Now, one thing that we can also do is that if we want to just execute most of the latex commands, we just want to see the output of it without basically performing any computations with it, right? We just have to use the verbatim environment. For instance, verb, right? And we type in the dollar symbol. This is going to actually execute most of the latex commands. So anytime we want to see the output of a latex command, we use the verbatim environment. This is for the verb is normally used when you are writing in between a line, and the verbatim, we have the begin verbatim. Verbatim is used when you are actually writing within an environment, right? So for instance, I want to see the begin document and end document. This is a command or an environment. I want to see this right in my document. So how do I do that? I have to create the verbatim environment so that I can run that. So let's say begin document, right? So if you run this, let's build and compile. So you see now I'm able to see the begin document and end document. So any command or any environment that is in LaTeX and you want to see the output, you have to use the verbatim environment, right? Or you can use the verb, which shows the symbol, right? Or you have different forms of them. You can also use verb, use this, let's say percentage sign. No, let's use this, right? You can also use verb, let's say you want ampersand, right? So these are different forms of the verbatim environment that you can use. Normally we use this when you are writing between some line, and if you are writing a paragraph, you can use the begin verbatim and the end verbatim. You can use this for a paragraph, right? So we see this, right? So we see this and we see that, right? So anytime you want to execute any LaTeX command or syntax, you can actually use the begin verbatim or the verbatim environment to get our work done. Now let's move on. So the next is to look at the environment. A LaTeX environment is a structure composed of two complementary commands within which some particular job can be performed, right? The pair of complementary commands creating an environment structure are the begin name of the environment and end name of the environment, right? So basically in LaTeX we have different types of environment. We have the center environment, table environment, we have the itemized environment. You have different types of environment that we'll be even looking at in our subsequent tutorials, right? So for instance, let's look at the center environment, begin center. So this is my center page. So it is going to center this text, right? So let's see that. Let's build and compile. So you see it centers it, right? Centers it as compared to the rest. So that's the environment. So we have different types. You can have table environment, figure environment, begin document environment and what have you. We will looking at most of this environment as we move on. So let's look at the next latex syntax that's very important. That's the packages. A package is loaded in the preamble in between the document class and the begin document commands through the use package name command, where the p name is the name of the package. So for example, if you use this package, use package color is used for producing colored text, right? Let's take an example. For example, I want to make this blue, right? If I use color, it doesn't even show, right? So let's first of all use the package. So preamble is where I have my package. So I'm going to use package x color, right? And once you have this package, you can now use a color. So color, which now shows, right? First it wasn't showing, now you have a color option. So I want to make this blue, right? So let's build and compile. So we see now that this center page has been changed to what? Blue. The text has been changed to blue. So that's the importance of the packaging. The package, we are going to look at more packages as we proceed. So let's look at the next example. For instance, the AMS symbol and the AMS math package is very, very important. This package is very important for writing some complex mathematical symbols and expressions. So we need this package for basically math symbols and some math formulas and what have you. So let's look at this. For instance, we want to let's say we want to write a matrix, right? So let's say we want to create a matrix environment, matrix, right? And let's say we need 2 by 2, so let's say 3. The ampersand is to give us the different is to partition the matrix for us. So we have 2 by 2, so 1, that's 3, and we have, let's say, 9. We also have 9 and 2, right? So like a symmetric matrix. If we are to run this, let's see. So that's a problem, right? Let's try to put it in a math mode and see the result. So we put $sign to show that we are going to operate in a math mode. So we are not getting the metrics of interest, right? Still there's a problem, right? So in order to make things work easier, let's try and use the use package AMS math, right? So once we have this package, let's now run and see, build and compile to see if you're going to have a matrix syntax. So you see now that this is in the form of a matrix, right? 2 by 2, 3, 9, 9, 2. So with this package, we are able to actually have more. We can actually have more complex math environment in our document. So let's look at the next. For example, we want to write a real number. We know the real number, so we want a symbol for the real number. We can use the math bb, right? This, so R, we want the symbol for real number. If we are to run this, let's look if we are going to get a result. So we see we are getting R, but it's not giving us the real number that we actually need, right? So let's try and use the symbol, use package AMS symbol, right? And now let's build and compile this. So you see, now we are getting that real number symbol, right? So that's the importance of the AMS packages, right? These packages are very, very important in writing some advanced math formulas and symbols. So I think we are good to go. So let's move on. So I think if you want to learn more about LaTeX, you can use this book, A Practical Guide for Scientific Writing. Right, it was written by this author, data, right, LaTeX in 24 hours. So I think in our subsequent tutorials we'll be looking at how to create our own report document and also book document, and also how to format this document for our thesis and other projects, right? So please, if you find value in this video, don't forget to subscribe and click on the notification to get updated. Thank you for watching.